welcome to Security Fundamentals. My name is Sarah Alali. I work at Microsoft and I will be your trainer for this session. I have a PhD in computer science and over 10 years experience in teaching, training, and also in conducting research. And I have a passion, guess for what? It's for technology, and I love to learn new things. Security and compliance are essential aspects of any organization that deals with data and information. Security refers to the protection of data and systems from unauthorized access, use, modification, or destruction, while compliance refers to the adherence to law, regulation, standards, and policy that govern how data and information are handled. This course covers 6 different sessions. You are encouraged to watch one or more sessions. In this 6th session, we will discuss the various internal features of Microsoft solutions that can help you support your compliance efforts. So let's start. So are you ready to go for our last session? So for our final session, we will discuss the various internal features of Microsoft solutions that can help you support your compliance efforts. In this session, we have 4 different lessons that we are going to look at, starting with looking at Microsoft Service Trust Portal and privacy capabilities. We will move on then talking about the capabilities of Microsoft Purview. We will cover data security solutions, data compliance solutions, and data governance solutions. As a reminder, all the information we have discussed is available for you on the learning path at aka.ms/SC-900. Okay, let's go. Let's start with the first lesson. Microsoft runs on trust, and it's not just words. And let me prove it. Here you will explore the Service Trust Portal for content on how Microsoft delivers on our commitment of trust. You will also learn about Microsoft Priva, a solution that helps meet privacy goals. One of my favorite things I have heard when it comes to data is that data is the new oil. It's really important that you understand when you are defining your organization or cloud environment, where is your data going to live? And what laws and regulations do you need to consider when moving data from one place to another? At Microsoft, we use what's called the Service Trust Portal. The Service Trust Portal gives you access to a variety of tools and information about Microsoft security, privacy, and compliance practices. And if you are responsible for any type of compliance or governance within your organization, I highly recommend that you make this portal one of your best friends. Because inside the Trust Portal, you are going to find audit reports and other compliance-related information associated with Microsoft Cloud Services. Trust Portal users can download audit reports produced by external auditors, and they can gain insight from Microsoft-authored white papers that provide details on how Microsoft Cloud Services protect your data and how you can manage cloud data security and compliance for your organization. It's going to be a really useful tool to understand what is your responsibility as a customer and what is Microsoft's responsibility when it comes to compliance and data governance in the cloud. All right, why not go ahead and visit that portal? So here I access to Service Trust Portal. So if you want to access it, you go to aka.ms/stp. Or servicetrust.microsoft.com. I have just logged in with my credentials. So in here you have, you could see in the Service Trust Portal, it shows us certification, regulation, and standards. So I had different certification, regulation, and standards that show up in the main web page. We have report, white papers, and artifacts. So I could access any of them that interest me. Industry and region resources regarding the region that I am in, and resources for your organization. So if I click, for example, ISO EEC, I could have a list of this regulation. and standard. So here it's given me cloud service. I could select, for example, I am interested only in Azure, and I have a list of the last update and also description and which series. So for example, I'm interested into Azure this Dynamics online services, and in here I could download it or I could save it to my library. So for example, let's save it to my library, and I want to receive a monthly notified. Once I add it to my library, I come from here and they have access to my library. And I could see that they have documents in here, and it says that I have this certificate demonstrating Microsoft Azure and Dynamics, and the last update has a fixed date. And then I could decide to download it, or for example remove it from my library since I'm not interested into this subject anymore. I could now get back to my the service trust portal and go to my download history. So if I download any services previously, it's going to appear in here, and I could look into all the document that I downloaded if I want to recheck anything. I could go back to home. I could go down to report white paper and artifact. Let's select for IA resources, for example. And I could see here that this resource describing the approach to compliance, security, and privacy related to AI solutions such as Copilot and Azure OpenAI. And in here I have all the information related to AI services. For example, here we have Azure OpenAI Foundational Privacy Impact Assessment. I could also go download it or save it to my library. In addition, in here we have the service trust portal chatbot, where you could ask questions about any certification, regulation, going to help you with that. It's really useful tool that exists in this portal. That's it from my side for this demo. All right, we have just visited the Service Trust portal where we can find our privacy statement. One thing that's important to us is that all of our products and services work with confidence. And the way we focus on our privacy and on your privacy and building your trust is that we have created 6 privacy principles that we use when it comes to making decisions about data. This helps us determine how and why we collect data and then ultimately what we do with it. So let's talk a little bit about these 6 principles. First, you are in control. As a customer, you will always have full control over your privacy, and you have tools to help you make the best choice for you and your organization. And this leads directly to the second one, which is the principle of transparency. We will always tell you what data is collected, why we do collect it, and what we do with this data. This way, you can make informed choices when it comes to what data you share and what you don't. All the data that we collect, you can be assured that it is protected with our strongest security and encryption. And we are going to provide you with strong legal protections. This is your legal right as customer. And when it comes to the data that we collect, you don't have to worry about whether it's going to be used for targeted marketing. So this means that anything you say in an email or in Teams chat won't magically pop up as an advertisement later. At the end of the day, the reason we collect data is to provide you with better services and really to make you overall experience better. What this means is that we will only collect data when we can use it to improve your experience with any Microsoft product. Now, if you want to look at the different privacy principle or our full privacy policy, you can see it in the Trust portal. All right, we have another great tool called Microsoft Priva. The important thing to keep in mind is that the Service Trust portal is available to anyone, whether they are at Microsoft or as a Microsoft customer or not. But Microsoft Priva will only be available to customers with a Microsoft 365 role of a global admin or a similar role with the appropriate permissions. Microsoft Priva will give you this overview of your organization's performance against its compliance standards. Priva's capabilities are available through 5 solutions: Priva Privacy Risk Management, Priva Subject Right Request, Consent Management, Priva Assessments, and Tracker Scanning. Microsoft Priva Privacy Risk Management gives you the capability to set up policies that identify privacy risks in your Microsoft 365 environment and enable easy remediation. Policy options in privacy risk management can help you find issues in areas of privacy concern and guide your users through recommended steps for remediation. Subject Right Request solution can address subject right request for data within your organization's Microsoft 365 environment or for subject rights request for data beyond Microsoft 365. Priva Consent Management is a regulatory independent solution for streamlining the management of consented personal data. Consent management empowers organizations to effectively track customer consent across their entire data estate. Priva Tracker Scanning empowers organizations to automate the identification of tracking technology across multiple web properties, driving the efficient management of website privacy compliance. And Priva Assessments automate the discovery documentations and evaluation of personal data use across your entire data landscape. All right, in this lesson 2, we will explore the data security solution of Microsoft Purview. So let's go. If you wanted to protect any kind of sensitive data like credit card numbers or bank account numbers or let's say social security numbers, all of these have a specific pattern. In the Microsoft Purview, you can train the system to classify this type of data and then prevent it from being shared outside the organization or prevent it from being shared with the wrong people. In addition, the way classifiers work is through the use of artificial intelligence. So you can take advantage of things like pre-trained classifiers that are ready to use to recognize certain type of data like profanity or even credit card numbers. You can also train your own classifiers to recognize your organization's unique contract templates. When you are categorizing data in your organization, you can actually use the different drill down to see what different data is being categorized and how it's being used. You can drill down into any type of tag and see where the item is stored, the last time it was opened, or who saw it. And you can also use the Activity Explorer to see when labels have been edited and by whom. Now, another way to protect your organization data is through different labels and label policies. Inside the Microsoft Purview, you can enable labeling of your documents or emails. You have full control over your labels and you can customize them to meet your organization's needs. Some of the most common ones I have seen are things like personal, public, confidential, or highly confidential. And the good thing about these labels is that they are stored in the plain text part of the metadata, so that if you have third-party apps using that data, they can read it and then apply their own protective actions. And when you apply the label, it will follow the document or email as it moves. So that means it's still protected even if it changes hands. After you have created your labels, you can then create label policies. And label policies create a structure around what can happen when a document is labeled a certain way. So let's take the example if you have a project or a team that is working on something that is highly confidential. You can create a label policy that will only allow members of that team to view that document. And if they wanted to remove that label, you may need a justification to be sent to your admins before the change happens. You can also decide to publish the label to specific users, distribution groups, Microsoft 365 groups in Microsoft Intra ID, and you could do more. All right, so let's take a look to how to create labels in Microsoft Purview. So in this demo, we are going to look into the Microsoft Purview to be able to work on sensitivity labels. And in here, we go on solutions. We have a list of all the solutions that we could access to. Also in this dashboard, we could access to the solution or view all the solution. I have also information on my data, or I could look into the other things. I'm going to view all solutions, and I'm going to look into data security and information protection. And from here, I have a look into sensitivity levels. And in sensitivity levels, I could see that I have different levels from personal, public, general, confidential, highly confidential, and confidential finance. I could also create a label, or I could just access one label and try to modify it. So from here, I could edit my label. And in here, I could look into the name, so confidential finance. I could modify the displayed name. I could set the label priority. I could give a description for users, for admins. I could also add a color to my label if I want to. I could look into the scope of this label. And here it says label can be applied directly to items such as files, emails, meeting, and also containers like SharePoint sites and Teams, Fabric, Power BI items. And here I could select whatever I want to apply this sensitivity label, files, emails, or meetings. And then for the items, I could choose protection settings for the type of items I want to select. So I could apply content marking, or I could control access, or I could protect Teams meetings and chat if it applies to Teams. Also content marking, and in here you could apply a watermark. So here watermark is going to write confidential financial data. I could customize it or change it. I could also decide to add a header and write also confidential, for example. And I could also decide if I wanted to add it also in the footer. And then we have the auto labeling for files and emails, and in here I could look into group of names. So for example here default, and I apply to all of this or any of this, and I could add sensitive info types or credit card number or anything that is related to this sensitivity financial information. I could define protection settings for group and sites, from privacy and external users to external sharing, conditional access, privacy teams. Once I'm happy with that, also I could look into auto labeling and schematize the data asset. Once I'm done of all of this, I check if I'm happy with all the content, and I could save the label. Well, I'm going just to keep it the way it is. I'm going to cancel all this. I'm not going to apply it at the moment. Moreover, then sensitivity level, we have also policies. So I could look into publishing a policy. So here I have different policies. So I could grab one of the policy, for example, confidential finance policy. I could edit this policy and look what I want to put in this policy or modify it. I could also create a policy from zero. I could add it or put it in and assign it to an administrative unit. This is out of scope of this class, but if you're curious, it's like it's going to assign a policy to a group of entity inside the tenants. I'm going to decide to publish it in which users and group this label to policy. For example, you could set it into security groups or Microsoft 365 groups. And I could set the policy settings and configure settings for the label to include users, for example, must provide justification to remove label or lower its classification. Maybe I decide to require users to apply label to their emails and document. It will be mandatory, or it will be mandatory to apply label to a Fabric Power BI content, or also users with link that if I create a website dedicated to helping user, I have to understand how to use the label in my organization or URL. Once happy with this, I'm going to apply default label to document. I could say I will apply by default no label, or by default I put it as confidential finance, and then regarding the policy, users could change it or not. In the email also, I could apply the same label like document, or by default there is non-label. In meeting, I could decide to put by default label or none. In the calendar events of my, for example, team meetings, I could decide what policy to apply to my Fabric and Power BI content. And finally, I give the policy a name and a description. And once I'm happy, I check everything and I submit it. And at the moment, I'm not interested into doing this. So I'm going to just cancel this. I have also the auto labeling policy. I could in here create an auto labeling policy. It follows some steps to do the auto labeling policy and decide what policy to do it in, also where exactly I want to apply this auto labeling policy. It follows similar steps into policies. I'm not going to go step by step into this auto labeling policy. I could go here from the app launcher, could go to Outlook. And here when I have a new email, I could apply any of the policies that we have seen previously. For example, this email should be a confidential finance email, so I'm going to mark it with this label before sending this email to my users. So that's what I want to show you for this demo. Thank you for your attention. Many of the tools I'm showing you here today are designed to help protect your data. I'm sure you have heard of the news at one time or another of an organization that is experiencing some type of data theft and data loss and terrible consequences. In the Microsoft Purview, there are a number of different tools that are available to help you with your data loss prevention plan. The way data loss prevention policies work is by using a series of conditions and actions applied to specific locations like your SharePoint or Exchange. So let's say, for example, that you have a data loss prevention strategy in place to prevent users from sharing any type of sales contracts. The policy would run in the background and can identify any document or email that includes contract number or customer information. Then, based on these conditions, it will trigger an action to automatically block that email from going out. There are also data loss prevention tools where you can look for any kind of suspicious activity like user copying or printing sensitive data. This way, you can take the data and create policies to prevent it. These data loss prevention tools are here to help you no matter what Microsoft 365 app you are using, as for Teams or Outlook, OneDrive or SharePoint, and preventing that data loss. Microsoft Purview data loss prevention supports integration with Microsoft Security Copilot through the standalone and embedded experience. To experience this Copilot capability, organizations must be onboarded to Copilot, have enabled Copilot to access data from Microsoft 365 services, and users also must have the appropriate role permissions to do any further actions. I think it's important to understand when it comes to insider risk, there is a whole branch of different things that can happen. You may have sensitive data accidentally leaked. Maybe there is some sort of fraud or insider trading. All of this puts your organizations at risk. So inside Microsoft Purview, using insider risk management, you can detect, investigate, and take action to mitigate internal risk in your organization for different scenarios, including data theft by employees, the intentional or unintentional leak of confidential information, offensive behavior, and much more. There are a number of different policy templates that you can choose from, or you can create your own to alert you when some type of suspicious activity occurs. Then they can guide you through the integration and corrective actions. Sometimes just a matter of just reminding an employee of the policy, or it may require full investigations. This service also supports integration with Microsoft Security Copilot through both standalone and embedded experiences. To experience Copilot integration, organizations must be onboarded to Copilot, have enabled also Copilot to access data from Microsoft 365 services, and also users must have the appropriate role permissions to do so. At Microsoft Purview, we are harnessing the power of machine learning to identify the most critical risks and proactively apply protection controls. Our adaptive protection integrates seamlessly with data loss prevention, Microsoft Purview, data lifecycle management, and Microsoft intra-conditional access. By combining these solutions, we help organizations automate their response to insider risks, reducing the time needed to identify and address potential threats. This creates a comprehensive security framework that tackles both internal and external threats. So how does adaptive protection work? We have context-aware detection. Our machine learning-driven analysis identifies the most critical risks by examining both content and user activities. Then we can implement dynamic control, enforcing effective measures on high-risk users while allowing others to maintain productivity. Automated mitigation is another key feature, minimizing the impact of potential data security incidents and reducing administrative overhead. Adaptive protection dynamically assigns the right policies based on the insider risk level, which can be elevated, moderate, or minor, as defined by our machine learning models. This ensures that the most effective policies, such as blocking data sharing or application access, is applied only to high-risk users, while low-risk users continue their work without interruption. Now that we have an understanding of data security solutions, let's take a look at the data compliance solution of Microsoft Purview. We have also the auditing solutions in Microsoft Purview. These help organizations respond effectively to security events, forensic investigations, internal investigation, and compliance obligations. Thousands of user and admin operations performed in dozens of Microsoft 365 services, and solutions are captured, recorded, and retained in your organization's unified audit logs. Audit records for these events are searchable by security ops, IT admin, insider risk teams, and compliance and legal investigator in your organization. This capability provides visibility of the activities performed across your Microsoft 365 organizations. And Microsoft Purview provides two auditing solutions, Audit Standard and Audit Premium. The first one, Audit Standard, is turned on by default for all organizations with the appropriate subscription, and it provides you with the ability to log and search for audited activities to power your forensic, IT, compliance, and legal investigations. While Audit Premium builds on the capabilities of Audit Standard, and Audit Premium provides longer retention of audit records with default of 1 year. Customized audit log retention policies. Also, it provides intelligent insights and more bandwidth to access auditing logs through the Office 365 Management Activity API or Application Programming Interface. I hope now that this never happens to you, but there may be time when your organization is involved in some type of litigation. And usually when that happens, you need to pull some type of information for evidence. Now, the good news is that this information is usually in electronic form. So maybe it's an email or team chats. In Microsoft Purview, we have something called eDiscovery. And this tool allows you to search across all the different platforms and apps. Now, you need to have an administrative role in order to run a search, but it's a very simple process. When you want to search, you can trigger events prompt the creation of a new case in eDiscovery, or you can create a case. For this, you need to select the areas you want to search. For example, let's say you want to search in Exchange on Teams or in Teams. Then you can add filters like date of the username that has been involved in this case, and you could use any specific keywords. Well, this search is going to show a list of results, and you can take some types of actions like exporting the search result or creating a review set or create a halt. Then you can review and take actions from the review sets. Microsoft Purview Compliance Manager is a feature in Microsoft Purview that helps admin to manage an organization's compliance requirement with greater ease and convenience. Compliance Manager can help organizations throughout their compliance journey, from taking inventory of data protection risks to managing the complexities of implementing controls, staying current with regulations and certification, and reporting to auditors. Compliance Manager helps simplify compliance and reduce risk by providing many things. First, pre-build assessment based on common regional and industry regulations and standards, and also workflow capabilities that enable admins to complete risk assessment efficiently for the organization. It will provide you with step-by-step improvement actions that admins can take to help meet the regulations and standards relevant to the organizations. Finally, it provides a compliance score, which is a calculation that helps you and helps an organization understand its overall compliance posture by measuring how it's progressing with improvement actions. All right, so let's move to the portal and see Compliance Manager. Here we are in Microsoft Purview again. So here you get, you have a welcome Microsoft Purview portal. We have some informations. You can see also that we could improve our work and make it fast with Copilot if we want to. So we could start with Copilot. I have a quick view in here on all the solutions that I have in my Purview. I could click and view all the solutions, and they have more. So here, audit, setting, risk compliance. So you could find communication compliance, compliance manager, e-discovery, record management, information barriers. We have data governance. I could look into data catalog, data lifecycle management. In the data security, we have data loss prevention, information protection. We have already been in there, and site risk management and AI hub. In the resources, we could look into the knowledge center. So in there, we have many information, documentation, links that will help us to learn more how to use Microsoft Purview quickly, and it will help us to get into it easily. Also, we have videos that we could watch, so easy to learn how to start working in Microsoft Purview. Also, blogs where you could read security blogs and anything related to data governance, for example, data security. Anything will be helpful for your Microsoft Purview. We have also this menu where you could go quickly into a different solution of Microsoft Purview. And here I could see most of the one that we have already seen. Also, any related portals that are connected to Microsoft Purview. For example, I have quick click to go to Microsoft Defender, Intra, Fabric, Priva, and also Microsoft Service Trust. I could explore also all the solutions from here. I have also here is settings where I could see my tenant, which is Contoso, a type of my account, or the rules and scopes that exist, data connectors. I could see all connectors or only my connectors that exist. I could go to solution setting. I could see communication compliance, compliance manager, data catalog, data loss prevention, e-discovery, etc. All the solutions that I have. Getting back in the home, so I could get a little bit down, and in here I have compliance, posture, statue, and I could see my posture scores that needs improve, which I have 50%, which is the current situation of my compliance. So I could go view details of compliance in the compliance manager. So I could have an overview of my score. So here I see 50%, and I achieved like 45 on this number. So I have to know and understand how to improve, and this is by the key improvement actions that I have. So I have different improvement actions that I could do that are going to impact directly my score and improve it. So you'll have a better compliance score to my company. Also, I could look into solution, and on this page, I will see how solution contribute to my score, contribute directly to my score. So, and what is the current score, how to improve it, and it fall into which categories. I could also go into assessments, and in the assessment I could look into all the assessment that I have and what is uncompleted and how to improve it and what are the improvements that I'm doing in this assessment. So for example, here I have data protection baseline, and I noticed that I have a lot to do in that to improve my current score, and I have improvement actions one by one to follow, and each one how it's going to impact the overall score. I have also regulation, and here I could create or modify policies. I could, list the regulation available to my organization. Next, we'll be talking about policies in a moment. So I have all the regulation, and here I could see data protection baseline. I could look into also premium AI templates, so different one. I could see who created this, and I could also look into other menu, when it was created, how is the situation activate or inactivate, and the services that are impacted, and also the type of role that impact this. Also policies, now talking about policies. So in the policies in here, I could create or modify policies and change their activation status. I have also alerts, and here I can view and manage alerts for events that can affect my organization compliance scores. So if there is any alert, will be listed in here, so I could just select it and view information related to it. So in here from I'm going to get back in here, and as we have seen all this solution, and I could also in here have a posture breakdown where I could see my data protection baseline, how it is making it, and also Microsoft 365, how it's making it. And I could also explore a posture breakdown to see again the compliance score and how to prove it. So that's all what I wanted to show you in this demo. Thank you for your attention. When it gets interesting, it may not always be something like someone uploading a file that is not compliant. This can be an inappropriate conversations on company platform like Yammer or Teams. And inside Microsoft 365, there are tools to help you monitor communication within your organization and ensure that everyone is following company guidelines. Communication compliance is a powerful tool that can help maintain and protect your people, data, and organization. Communication is incredibly important within an organization, but sometimes you need to restrict communication between teams within an organization. This may be for legal reasons or perhaps to protect employee data. You can set up information barriers inside your Microsoft 365 applications in case you need to prevent groups or employees from interacting with each other if you want to. So we know there are tools out there to prevent data from leaving your organization when it's not supposed to. But what about data you no longer need to keep? Can you imagine if organizations have to keep all their data forever? It would be foolish to try to manage everything. In addition, imagine that the potential risk of data theft becomes unbelievable. And that's why your regions and district retention policy will guide your organizations on what should be retained and for how long. And when it's time to delete, how to delete the data in a secured manner. So very similar to some of the others label that we have discussed so far, you can create retention labels and retention policies. So let's say I have a SharePoint site for my teams and the information in it needs to be kept for a minimum of 5 years. I can just apply a retention policy to that SharePoint site, and that policy will apply to all items on that site's label that is needed. But what if there was an item on the website that needed to be kept for 10 years? Then this is when I can apply a label to that specific item for 10 years. The 10-year label would trump this 5 years policy. And when you apply a retention policy or retention label, it won't force users to keep those files on their own computers or desktops. If a user deletes a file that has a retention policy on it, a copy of that document is kept in a secure location that doesn't impact any of your users. Now, there are documents that you or your organizations need to keep for legal or business obligations. So sometimes you are going to need a case management tool. Inside the Microsoft Purview records management capabilities, there are different ways in which records management can be used across an organization. It could help enabling administrators and users to manually or automatically apply retentions and deletion actions for documents and emails, or enabling site admin to set default retention and deletion actions for all content in SharePoint library, folders, or document set. When an administrator labels something as a record, they can block certain activities such as deleting the document or editing it. Or they can track the document's path and all related activities. There are also retention tools that can make and retain the records for retention and then retain the proof of disposal at the end of the retention period. Alright, let's move to the next lesson where we are going to describe the data governance solutions of Microsoft Purview. Microsoft Purview data governance solutions leverage AI and modern technologies to ensure data quality, security, and compliance, while also accelerating value creation. Good data governance helps reveal your data's business value and simplifies data management as your data estate grows, and it provides important benefits to different data rules. Organization-wide data consumers can easily find data they need with data discovery, can facilitate safe access to their data with secure access, can be provided what they need to know about the data with data understanding. And for other rules like data owners and stewards, data curation and management help them deliver high-quality data that's easy to understand and safely access for organization-wide application. With responsible data use, they ensure that their data is used by intended users for intended purposes. And with impact analysis, they can understand actions on the data that may have impact. Rules like data officers and CXO stakeholders can also take advantage from data value creation that maximize value creation from the data while reducing operation spend. And data estate standardization that create common controls across the company data estate with federated accountability so the data is healthy and safe. Microsoft Purview data governance delivers on these benefits through the rich set of features in Microsoft Purview data catalog. So let's look at it. Microsoft Purview data catalog is designed to enhance data governance and drive business value. It offers features like governance domain, which organize your data by business concepts such as marketing or finance, providing context and enabling common governance and discovery. Data products are business constructs that include associated data assets offering context and use case for data consumer. Glossary terms add critical business context and apply management policies to your data. And critical data elements group important information, making data easier to understand and secure. In addition, OKRs link data products to real business objectives, bringing the gap between business and data governance. Access policies manage who can access your data, promoting innovation while maintaining security. And finally, search and browse features help users find and explore data easily. Health management tools monitor and improve your data governance strategy, while data quality features allow you to assess and enhance the quality of your data using no-code or low-code rules and AI-powered profiling. In this session, we have spent some time learning about Microsoft Purview and the different tools that are available to your admins. Just think about few of different tools that we have looked at. We have looked at compliance management, information protection, data lifecycle management, data governance, and audit. Remember that all these materials is available for free on the learning path on aka.ms/SC-900. This concludes our session. There are many ways to continue your learning journey. We encourage you to watch other videos in this class or search out the next favorite topic on Microsoft Learn.